Hey, what's up guys? It's me, Ray, from Shreddinkk, and I was hoping to show you guys something really cool that I drew about a year ago that I don't think got as much love besides from me. And it was about a year ago when I drew this illustration. And for those who might not know what it is right now, you will definitely notice what it is in a few moments. It was a time last year, 2019, I was really intrigued by horror movies, especially ones from the 80s. I'm not sure why. I think it was just the time period, and then almost the foretelling of the future and seeing it in these movies, especially this one. And for people that know what this is, Alien is also, a really good horror movie from the 80s. And at the time, I was using them as good references for my drawings. Plus, it was during the month of October, so you could imagine I was trying to get inspired by Inktober-based illustrations, which I'm gonna have to admit, this is my favorite time of year to make art, the fall season. For me, where I'm at in Chicago, Joliet, Illinois, it's freezing throughout most of the year, and this autumn season is when it starts, after the summer, obviously. But it gives me perfect hibernation almost to just really get back into the studio and allowing my imagination to flourish, Sometimes it's not always that way, but I guess what I meant by that is just, drawing is the best time I feel now, since usually when it's in the summertime, I'm so eager to be outside and get some exercise, right? I do a lot of skateboarding. That's what I like to do more in the summer. It's a combination of both. But anyways, as you can see here, I'm creating what you see basically. Yeah, I already started the illustration. I was gonna go ahead and talk about the sketching process, which I guess most of you saw. But just to break it down again, it was just making a skull and still using a reference and just being very vigilant with how I go about the sketch, because it's very challenging to reference something and to get the proportions wrong. So that's me, what I'm doing, just a lot of rendering. That's what it's considered, rendering. That's basically what illustration artists do. Just a lot of back and forth sketching until you get the right sketch. And then once you finally get the sketch and you feel comfortable with it, as you see here, start a new layer and you begin the ink process. This is where when you want to color in your artworks digitally, makes things a lot more easier to do. And as you'll see, I'm going to fill in the most important areas, still using a reference, being very free with it and not being too constricted. Because keep in mind, there's a lot of bits and pieces and hardware and little intricate metal pieces that I wanted to replicate but not exactly copy. Another word for this would be reference. So and that's what makes it fun. If you're copying it exactly how it is, that's when it becomes very tedious and boring. But the way I'm doing this practice and this style, it makes it fun throughout the entire process, because you're using your entire imagination and just glimpsing back and forth at the reference. And as you can see here, it's already basically being formed. I threw in a little bit of a color to kind of just get the inspiration going for when I do start to add the actual color. Plus it helps define where the outside is. But for this drawing, I decided to just do the portrait. As you could only imagine, this would be a pain in the ass to draw the whole body, and I didn't really want to go about that for this illustration. It was more so just doing the skull anatomy and then adding my little twist to it with the third eye in the center of the pineal gland, if they had such a thing. And then here you go, you see me playing with a bunch of colorways. That's where the part where I reflect and just analyze the piece to see how it looks and overall feeling it expresses. As you saw there, I threw in some shadowing and then giving that time to reflect, now I'm able to go into the details and really start to make this thing pop with contrast and depth. Usually if you don't do that, a lot of your drawings or a lot of illustrations will just look very flat. And so as you see here, anywhere that it shows more defined black strokes is defining the light source and where the source of light is coming from. And as you see, it's coming from where my pencil is, coming straight down or straight up. So, and then even just developing the mid-tone shades. And from here, this is basically the final image. It's I did it on a high resolution file, so it's really nice and crispy. So if I ever wanted to do a print with this, or any kind of printing, this is going to be a perfect overall look. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys this because I really think it's a really neat piece, and I'm actually looking to add this into my archives and some stuff for sale to put on merchandise. But yeah, other than that, I guess I could show you the files, the actual files of the illustration. And as you can see here, I just got the sketch. I'm gonna highlight what I'm talking about with my finger. So on the blue, this is the sketch. And this is primarily how the drawing started. Oops. And I figured, besides showing you the final product, it'd be really neat to show you each layer on how I go about these illustrations. So as you can see, this is a sketch. If you zoom in, it's a very rough image. Well, it's obviously the sketch. This is where the most playful areas come about. As you can see, I'm not too defined with everything. The ideal is to get a good composition, and it's kind of like if you squint your eyes and you look at this, that's the parts where you really want to put your focus in. If you put your focus in every single little cranny of detail, that's when art becomes overwhelming for the artist, and it becomes intimidating. So do the same. It's kind of when I do my sketches on paper. You're gonna want to be very, very loose. You know, I'm gonna try to replicate a side profile of a skull, just to give you an idea of how this is how I would be sketching, doing this illustration. And it's primarily just a lot of back and forth, you know, draw from reference, or if you're good enough or skilled enough with imagination, as you see me doing here. And from that, you slowly, for now, you get an eraser, slowly erase it to where you can still see it, and then go back in, and then watch the magic as things just start to become more constructed, more defined. And I'm just gonna do this kind of fast for the sake of this video, but you can already see here that there is form coming. And I started with a circle, broke it into halves, to other halves, 4 equal sides, and then a line, 3/4, did a circle on this 3/4 line, as well as here, parallel. And as you can see, the face is starting to form. This I'll break down in another video. I will break this down in another video, describing how I go about this process. But as you can see, the sketch is there, and that's the way you would go about it, or at least how I do. The next would be primarily the outline. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the outline here. So here we go. Excuse me. So as you can see, this is the sketch. I should get my Apple Pencil. Where's the pencil? That'd be smart, but whatever. This is the ink layer. I'm gonna name this ink layer. So now we're on the blue layer here, and this is defining the final ink of the entire illustration. As you can see, it's a lot more defined, it's a lot more clear, crisp. If you want to do digital painting, if you want to make this anything basically, this is a lot more of appropriate illustration for that design. This is my personal style, though I'm not trying to say this is how all artists do these illustrations. Mine is more towards the cartoon to just illustrated. When I mean by illustrated, something that could be printed primarily, or for my sake is like on all mediums, from like embroidery and such. But at the same time, I really like to allow it to just be a digital piece of art. And so how I do that is each layer here, which I don't have to name them all, you could basically kind of see what it is, allows me to create a digital painting or digital illustration. And that's what you see here. And for this project, this was really fun. This is for sure one of my favorite drawings that I feel didn't get as much applause other than for myself. So I figured I'd make a nice video on YouTube about it. But with that being said, you can check out my artwork at Shreddinkk.com. Feel free to go there and see all the artwork that I have to share and offer. But with that being said, thank you so much, and I'll catch you in another video. Peace.